A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Sajal Mishra, second year student of DME Media School, welcome you to the day 2, session 4 of the Student Induction Program, Part 2, SIP 2022. The SIP 2022 is being organized for the batch 2022 for the commencement of their first year in DME Media School. Before we move ahead, I would like to take a moment and introduce Delhi Metropolitan Education to our audience. DME is an A-grade premier educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, New Delhi, and approved by Bar Council of India. DME Media School is one of the most promising media institutes in the country. It offers BA in journalism and mass communication. It is recognized as the school focused on the growth of its faculty and students through academic and co-curricular activities. Major flagship events and initiatives of the school include BJ Varghese Lecture Series, Peer-to-Peer FDP, Vritika Convention of Media Students, SIFI, that is International Film Festival, International Conference ICANN, and VIS, that is Vibrant India Series. I now invite Professor Dr. Amrish Saxena, Dean DME Media School and ideator of SIP 2022 to mark the beginning of the program with his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. As we know, we have entered into the second part of a student induction program that we organize every year when the new students join DME. And in this process, we have been inviting many distinguished journalists to come to us, talk to you, interact with you so that you get exposed to the world of media, because when somebody is joining journalism and mass communication education formally, it is necessary at the outset to understand what kind of sector or what kind of industry is this and what all is expected from the students to learn, to know, to prepare themselves for the industry. It's a long period you will be here for 3 years and you will be learning different subjects, but then if your foundation is good and your start is good, then obviously the whole process will be fast. Because you will be mentally prepared to receive whatever is coming to you. And in this course today we have with us Palak Sharma, who is a very senior journalist, very senior anchor, and very wide experience she carries. Today she has accepted our request to be here. So I think you all should be geared up, should be prepared to be benefited by her presence, and you can even put up questions to her, your queries, so that you get more clarity on the things wherein you want to know more, to understand more. So with this I finish here because we all are eager to listen to Palak. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Ms. Palak Sharma, senior journalist. Ms. Palak Sharma has spent the last 16 years of her journey in broadcast journalism, working as a reporter, anchor, writer, and a producer. She is currently working as an anchor and editor for Defense with India Ahead News and is also a consultant anchor with Doordarshan. She began her career with Aaj Tak, then moved on to NewsX, Z News, Rajya Sabha TV, Tiranga, and finally she is here at India Ahead. I now request Amrish sir and Bala ma'am to kindly felicitate the guest. I now request Ms. Palak Sharma to please take the program forward from here.
Good morning, all of you. First of all, thank you so much for having me over. People who have taught me. I have been a student of Mr. Amrish Saxena, and Vishal also I have been associated to for many years now. And it's not just a pleasure, it's an honor to be here. I've learned from him and now I'm going to teach something perhaps to all of you. So just like Amrish sir said, कि अगर फाउंडेशन अच्छी होगी तो आगे चीज़ें बहुत आसान होगी. एंड फ्रॉम व्हाट आई हैव सीन हियर एंड व्हाट आई हैव नोन ऑफ DME, आई थिंक द नेक्स्ट 3 years of your life are going to be terrific. And if you learn, because you have the best hands with you, it will pave way for a good future. and I am an example before you. I have learned from people like him. So to begin, the topic today obviously is very wide. News presentation. I have been in the business of news presentation for 16 years, and news presentation, as we popularly believe, is not just what you see on TV. Most people, you know, I have been addressing students for many years now, और जब मैं सबसे ज़्यादा लोगों से पूछती हूँ कि क्या बनना है, so obviously the answer is they want to be a reporter or they want to be an anchor, and that is only clearly because हम लोगों, and I was that person too, we believe that what's on TV is glamorous. So one myth जो सबसे पहले, you know, while beginning this program I want to clear is that if you are in this for glamour, तो अभी छोड़ दो. There is no glamour or hardly any glamour perhaps in the profession of news presentation, and obviously they will, your seniors will put more light on that eventually when you study this course. आप जब मेहनत करेंगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि glamour इस profession का एक बहुत ही छोटा हिस्सा है. What you see on your TV screens is you know, the makeup, the hair, the good looks, the blazers, and you know, the running around in field with mics and cameras. That's a very small part of what you're actually doing. News presentation एक बहुत बड़ा field है, and to begin with, news presentation is, like I said, not just anchoring or reporting. It's a whole setup. Your driver who's taking you for a shoot is also part of your news presentation, because you have to be at the right place at the right time. So from that to your producers, to your camera person, to your script writer, to your editor, everyone. और अब माहौल चेंज हो गया. You know, you have, how many of you have heard the word mojo, or does anyone know what is mojo? All right, so most of you, yes, absolutely. Mobile journalism is mojo. So now we, while we may think that we are a one-man team, which is largely true जब हम reporting करते हैं, we can carry our camera, we can carry our lapel mics, we can buy, आजकल unidirectional mics मिलते हैं, selfie sticks मिलती हैं, tripods मिलते हैं, but yet that's not it. मैं अगर कहीं गई शूट करने के लिए और मैंने अपने सेटअप से शूट कर लिया, it has to be on TV, it has to be on air. So you'll never be alone. News presentation is the whole business that requires an entire team. Now, what are the challenges before a person when you decide to be in the business of news? Can anyone tell me what is the most important thing that one needs to get a hang of, know when you are in the business of news? कोई बता सकता है क्या सबसे ज़रूरी चीज़ है न्यूज़ प्रेजेंटेशन में होने के लिए? Okay, yes, and absolutely, actually all of this. न्यूज़ प्रेजेंटेशन में सबसे पहले आपको न्यूज़ की नैक होनी चाहिए. न्यूज़ क्या है? So they will tell you, obviously I don't think your classes have begun now. 5 W's and 1 H if anyone has already read off. What, when, why, where, how, all of that. You know, when you become a journalist, चाहे एंकर बने, चाहे रिपोर्टर बने, चाहे कैमरामैन बने, चाहे एडिटर बने, आपके DNA में आ जाएगी ये बात कुछ सालों में प्रैक्टिस करते करते कि आपको हर चीज़ में खबर ही दिखेगी. आपको हर चीज़, whenever you look around you, खबर दिखेगी, and that's when you will actually know that you have arrived. When everything for you is news, when you start questioning everything कि ये ऐसे क्यों है, वो वैसे क्यों है, इसमें क्या निकल सकता है, इसमें हम क्या कर सकते हैं, with limited means. Now I have been a reporter and an anchor both. I firmly believe, I may be wrong, but I firmly believe that a reporter can be an anchor too, but not necessarily that an anchor can always be a good reporter. तो reporting का जो आपका experience है, the experience in field, the number of people you meet, the contacts you make, the amount you socialize, you learn, all that goes into helping you become a great anchor also. So yeah, my journey has been, I'd say, lucky. I studied, I had my learning from some very good hands. And just like you are in this institute, I've also done my education from one such institute, and I got absorbed, and I spent many, many years reporting before I took to anchoring in Rajya Sabha, and it was slow paced. Things are fast paced now, and you know, there are several challenges, and the one thing that I think has not gone out of fashion is when people tell you read newspapers. When I was young, when I came into this profession, I used to find it boring. and also annoying because जब हम इंस्टीट्यूट में पढ़ते थे और हमसे पूछते थे कि आज की पहली 5 खबरें क्या है, I would be blank because I didn't know पहली 5 खबरें क्या. And let me tell you everyone, I belong to a family of journalists. My father is a journalist who still writes. So I've had a number of magazines and newspapers in my house always. I've grown up around magazines and newspapers. But it's not overrated, you know. So as boring as it may sound, your learning has to be constant. And you know where it reflects. So I don't know, we could not play any clips here today, but I'll definitely send so that maybe you can see later, or you can see on my Twitter. When you present news, you know, right now when I'm speaking to you, I haven't prepared anything. इतने 16 साल में मुझे अब बातें करने की आदत हो गई है, रैंडम चीज़ें लोगों तक पहुंचाने की आदत हो गई है. But when you begin, okay, tell me what is the basic difference between reporting and anchoring? Can anyone tell me that? Basic difference. Okay, yes, absolutely. So, sorry? Exactly. So the basic difference is controlled and uncontrolled environment. That's the broad difference. There are many. That's the broad difference. And both have their good sides and bad sides. The good side about having an uncontrolled environment is that you are allowed to fumble. If you make a mistake, अगर आपने कभी भी ध्यान से notice किया है, and the best way to learn is notice. You will get hands-on experience here. It's a beautiful studio. Luckily, I mean, we've never had access to such studios, but you will get first-hand experience, and that's going to really benefit you. But the most important way in which you can learn is by seeing and observing how people talk, what are the mistakes that they make. You know, you'll really get to know a lot. If you've ever noticed fumbles या sentence formation थोड़ा सा बिगड़ा हुआ होना, reporting में फिर भी हो जाता है, but anchoring में बहुत ज़्यादा दिखता है. Have you noticed that? Yeah. Silence. When you are reporting and you say मेरे पीछे हमारे साथ, that happens, right? But have you heard that happening in anchoring? No, because it's very awkward. And the difference is that anchoring is happening in a very controlled environment. So I don't know how many of you are interested in reporting and how many of you are interested in anchoring, but I'm broadly going to talk about both. Presence of mind, which begins for all of you now. I think now you will be tested for your presence of mind every step of what you're doing, because that is what news presentation is all about. हर रोज हर टाइप की खबर नहीं होती है. Okay. When I'm reporting, I'm a defense correspondent. I cover defense. That's my beat. You all know what beat is? Beat is a specialization. I specialize in defense and external affairs. When I cover defense, obviously रोज़ खबरें नहीं है, रोज़ ऐसी खबर नहीं है जो मैं अपने ऑडियंस को दिखा पाऊँ. हर रोज़ LOC या LAC पे कोई सीज फायर नहीं हो रहा है, कहीं बॉम्ब नहीं फट रहा है, कोई ड्रोन नहीं आ रहा है, कोई इन्फिल्ट्रेशन नहीं हो रहा है. Nothing exciting is happening every day. Everything does not make news, but it may still be news. How to prepare that news, how to get into the business of news, how to build your sources when you are a reporter. That is primarily going to be something that you now learn. But as far as anchoring is concerned, I don't anchor only defense. I anchor every news. So what's the first thing that I should know? News of the day. I can't say that I'm a defense reporter. मेरा जो you know, my liking lies with defense. So मुझे सिर्फ defense का पता है. I don't know what's happening in politics. My channel right now, the current channel that I'm working with is a South India based channel. So we focus a lot on English South Indian news. So I can't say मुझे नहीं पता कि तमिलनाडु में क्या हो रहा है या केरला में क्या politics हो रही है. I can't pronounce names. So broadly, both the jobs are very, very challenging. You have to know everything. And it doesn't end there. If tomorrow you decide to be a camera person, you know, we've learned from our camera persons. When I joined, Aaj Tak was my first news channel where I worked. Everyone was senior. Everyone was senior. I think we were the junior most people in the entire setup, that sea of that channel. And we've learned from our camera persons. You know how? We were just thrown. You are very lucky actually, honestly, that you're learning and getting first-hand experience from people who are in there. We were just thrown. We were taught, like you, हम लोगों ने भी सीखा and then we were sent for reporting and we didn't know what to do. क्या रिपोर्ट करना है? How we didn't even know how to hold a mic and we didn't know how to face the camera and it was very intimidating, it was very scary कि कैसे करना है अब इस चीज़ को. You know who taught us? The camera persons. Why? Because they sometimes know much more than you. You know who would tell you? Sometimes we didn't have, you know, we had enough bags and less people. So there's a cameraman and the reporter is carrying a tripod और driver आपको accompany कर रहा है. And there were drivers who've been in the business for many years. They would tell you, मैम इधर शूट कर लीजिए ना, वो देखिए वो है, वहाँ पे वो चीज़ हो रही है, आप उसको शूट कर लीजिए. So my point here is that learning has no fixed areas. You can learn from anyone, anything. It doesn't matter who they are. When you are stepping out or even stepping in the studio, there is learning everywhere and trust me, it's not difficult. Just look around you, just observe the good things and the bad things and half your job is done. Seriously, when they say na newspaper padho, great, newspaper padho because you need your knowledge. What will you say? What if you don't know the background? So it's important, read books, read newspapers, but observe. Observe the reporters on ground, observe when people are speaking on TV, when people are reporting on TV, when people are anchoring on TV. Practice it. Just, you know, and words like passion are not overrated. When you get into this profession, you will realize that जो लोग बोलते हैं ना, you know, you have to be passionate about news, you have to know this, you have to be there, and the glamorization of news as you've seen in movies. Obviously movies are very silly. कोई reporter और anchor OB van में नहीं आता, please, by the way. ठीक है, so you don't report news in OB vans. And there is glamorization, but it's a lot true. When you are in the business of news, you are into a very responsible profession. And you know, while times may have changed, the ways have not changed. So when I speak on TV, when I'm sitting in a studio here, something like this, I have a laptop in front of me. That laptop works, by the way. The coffee mug has coffee, okay? So I'm looking in front. And I'd like to share some experiences because this may interest you. So when I'm reporting too many times, it's uncontrolled, so I'm prepared. तो आप खड़े हैं फील्ड में और आपके सामने आपका कैमरा पर्सन खड़ा है कैमरा लेके और आपको अपनी पेरिफेरल विजन में बहुत कुछ दिख रहा है और आपके सामने 4 लोग हैं जो डांस कर रहे हैं एंड दे आर मेकिंग फेसेस एंड दे आर सेइंग मैडम कौन से चैनल से हो, मैडम कौन से चैनल से हो. They are saying that, but you don't have to move. You are just looking in the camera like a robot and going on. And it's even more difficult in an anchoring studio. So I don't know when it will start with you, but when you sit here and you have a laptop in front of you and you have great makeup on, hair, and you have a blazer and you are looking professional, there is no scope for bakwas. There is no scope for fumbling. You have to control the situation because it's a controlled environment. You know, I don't know if you've heard or I'm sure senior people have come to you and they would have, I don't know, shared their experience with you. But too many times, you're actually controlling the whole setup. You know what an anchor means? Anchor ka dictionary meaning kya hota hai, anybody? Do you know, anyone knows what actually an anchor is? I'm not talking about a news anchor. Anchor. Huh? Alright, so you've heard this word in context of a ship or a boat, right? That hook kind of a thing, okay? Yeah. So you know what that anchor is used for? वो anchor भारी होता है, you put it in water so that the boat doesn't sway much, it balances. And that's exactly what a news anchor also does. When you are sitting in a studio, you have a mic like this that you are wearing on your blazer. You have an earphone, EP we call it, in your ear. There is this thing called a PCR, which is the production control room. You are in a studio which is very intimidating like this. बहुत सारी lights, बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपके सामने हैं. And there is a teleprompter. So the first myth that I want to bust is कि anchor सब कुछ TP से नहीं पढ़ते. TP perhaps is only 20-30% of what you are going to say on TV. ऑल्सो ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़ टीपी पे नहीं हो सकती बिकॉज यू डोंट नो सडनली वॉट मे कम. दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हेन आई कम टू द पॉइंट अगैन, यू मस्ट रीड न्यूज़. व्हेन योर सीनियर्स टेल यू कि पेपर पढ़ो, इट्स बिकॉज अचानक से जब कोई खबर आएगी तो आपको पता होगा कि ओ कल तो ये हुआ था, एंड दिस इज द फॉलो अप ऑफ वॉट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो इट विल सेव यू फ्रॉम लुकिंग लाइक अ फूल. So today my tips are largely going to be how to not look like a fool on air, okay? So there are just too many times that you are looking into the camera, you have flashing lights in your eyes, you have to look good, you have to smile. आपके घर में लड़ाई हो गई है, ठीक है? Your mom just said something to you, your boyfriend or girlfriend said something to you, your senior said something to you, and you're in a very, very bad mood. But you have to smile on air, okay? That is one thing that you anchor. You have to be controlled. You are representing your channel on air. आप जैसे दिख रहे हैं, आप जैसे बोल रहे हैं, और आपका जो कंटेंट है वो आप नहीं है, वो आपका पूरा चैनल है. I represent my channel between 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I am anchoring. I am not just Palak Sharma, the anchor. I am India Ahead News. Whoever is watching India Ahead News from 2 to 4 o'clock is watching me. Whatever news there is, I am presenting. Too many times on the TP, I get wrong words, wrong grammar. Ideally, आप जब एंकरिंग करेंगे या रिपोर्टिंग करेंगे तो अपनी स्क्रिप्ट खुद लिखेंगे. When you are anchoring, I'll talk about anchoring right now. You might prepare your own bulletin, which is a long process, which you will be taught later, of course. And sometimes you don't get a chance to look at your bulletins or look at what you're going to be speaking next. That's why, again, coming back, please read newspapers. It's boring, but please read. And you are just blank sometimes. कोई शब्द लिख दिया उटपटांग सा. And you know, I will not mention the word, but I almost abused on air because there was a word which was misspelt. It was misspelt. It's not the producer's fault because they are preparing lots and lots of news all day, and I am reading in a flow, and that's where presence of mind comes in. I suddenly realized कि ये नहीं हो सकता word, कुछ भी और बोल दो, ये नहीं बोलना है, because everyone's watching. It's all recorded, it's all there on YouTube, it's all there on Twitter. So fumbling cannot happen on air, and that really is the control that you will largely learn when you come into this profession. You know, your mind will constantly work. आप खबरें ढूंढ रहे होगे, आप बोलने के तरीके ढूंढ रहे होगे. The other challenge that often happens is that there's breaking news. So there is a studio, and I don't know, that's not how it is in all channels, but my channel has a glass studio. It's you know, it's audio proof. There's no outside external audios, but again, I can see my boss or my seniors or producers screaming and doing this in front of my eyes. Someone's jumping out of joy अगर bulletin बन गया या कुछ हो गया. So yesterday, a couple of days back, I'm anchoring and suddenly some match was won or something happened, and the entire outside was screaming, and I'm looking on the camera and just behaving like, pretending like nothing happened. So acting skills will also come very handy. Learn your acting when you're on air. You have to look good, okay? You don't have to look phased out. The third thing that too many times happens is that your voice is lost. एक production control room के भरोसे आप बैठे हुए हैं, आपके सामने एक टीपी है, किसी ने कुछ बोला क्योंकि आप भी बोल रहे हैं और आप अपनी आवाज़ भी सुन रहे हैं और आप उनकी आवाज़ भी सुन रहे हैं, and it just gets lost. How do you control that? You don't know. Air पे, on air, even 3 seconds of silence is a lot of silence. दिखता है. 2 seconds of black screen is a lot. And these are some of the situations where you have to control too many times. I don't know, you will get that experience here or not. TP उड़ जाता है. You are reading news. You are in a flow. And you have certain lines in front of you जिसके बाद आपकी story चलने वाली है. But those couple of lines you read from the TP क्योंकि वो आपका flow set करता है. It's called a flow chart. Where you know ये हमारी पहली खबर है, दूसरी, तीसरी, चौथी, उसके बाद ब्रेक आएगा, उसके बीच में रिपोर्टर्स आएंगे, उसके बीच में कोई गेस्ट आएगा जिनसे आप बात करेंगे. Suddenly the TP goes off. What do? Anybody? If you're reading news and the TP goes off, what do? How can you break news? No, don't break that. Don't do that. No, you don't make up news. Sorry? It's awkward, right? So again, back to read your news. Read your newspapers. How will you know what's happening? And trust me, this is a very common phenomena. We are after all dealing with machines. और आपको पता नहीं है कि आप सामने पढ़ रहे हो, आपकी मशीन आपका कितना साथ देगी. That's why it's very important. You know, the job of a journalist. And journalist में सब आते हैं. Camera person, anchor, reporter, editor, producer. Everyone is a journalist. And I don't know if you're being taught print here also. So even when you're writing, but writing is far more controlled. I'm going to talk about news presentation only here. When you're a journalist and the glamour and the high-end attitude associated to it, it does not come for free. This is exactly why you earn it. And learning it well is the only way out. With the kind of situation today, with news channels becoming business houses, after all, you know, you will get ads only when your news sells. You will get your salary only when there are ads. So at the end of the day, it's business, but it's a business done with balance. It's not biased. It's a fact. ये cliched sound करता है, but you will not get time for your family, friends and festivals. You will not have time to go on vacations, at least initial years में. You will have to miss out and sacrifice on a lot of things. I have worked on practically every Diwali in the last 16 years, every Diwali. I just managed time accordingly. The people from the religions who are not celebrating Diwali, they cover up for us in the evening and we cover up for them, say on Christmas, Eid, Guru Purab, etc. Whatever. We've just learned to manage our time like that. But there have been so many weddings, so many birthdays, so many occasions, festivals that I have missed out on because my shifts, my timing, my story had to go. So that is also one thing that you will always need to be prepared for. But keeping to news presentation alone right now, because this is a, like I said, is a very, very wide topic and there will be too many people sharing their experiences with you a lot of time. News presentation is largely about speaking well, knowing well and looking well. And when you can't do that, pretending well. You know, you can't know everything. It's a fact. I don't know everything. I don't know. If I'm sure, and I'm not judging any of you. If I ask you, आज की top 5 खबरें क्या हैं, many of you will not be able to tell. There are some days जब मैं भी नहीं बता पाती. So that's when the act of news presentation. You know why is it presentation? Because आपको क्या पता है वो 50% matter करता है. आपने उस चीज़ को बताया कैसे है? That is the heavier 50%. So news presentation is all about how you look, know and present it and put it out rather. And that is really, I think, what you're going to learn in the next 3 years. Largely, again, doesn't matter what channel you're in, doesn't matter which language you've chosen for your channel or website or whatever. You know, there are video formats, even websites are mostly like channels now. I started with Hindi, then I shift to English, then again I went to Hindi. Right now, again, I'm in English. So it doesn't matter. Honing your skills is really important. Hands-on experience is really important. And never be shy of learning. You will make mistakes. It's inevitable. And you know, I don't know how many of you will get time, but if ever you get time between 2 to 4, or perhaps you can just log into Twitter and I'll share my Twitter ID with you. My office uploads my news bits every day. Alag-alag khabre. They are uploaded. If you want, you can see some time. And you will know. I mean, I really wish actually आज हम चला पाते यहाँ पे so that you could have just asked me whatever questions you had. But again, you know, to not know and still look like you know a lot is the art of news presentation. Again, you will not know everything. There will be too many things that you are not aware of. Like sports is not my subject. मेरे सर पे से जाता है always. I read about it, I learn about it, I learn a few names that are important at that point in time. जब Commonwealth Games चल रहा है या कोई क्रिकेट का वर्ल्ड कप चल रहा है या फिर कोई ओलंपिक्स चल रहा है, I'll know. उस टाइम पे I know. But largely, sports is really my weak subject. I don't know sports. बट आई कांट से मैं स्पोर्ट्स की खबर नहीं पढ़ूंगी. दर इज ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़, XYZ ने जैवलिन थ्रो में सिल्वर मेडल पा लिया. व्हाट इज जैवलिन थ्रो? आई माइट नॉट नो. So that's when the art of pretending comes in. By the time you are speaking, that laptop in front of me, does what? Research. Google. What is javelin? Google News. Who are the important javelin players? Who is XYZ? So how you will obviously gradually learn. It's a matter of practice which you will know eventually. But towards the end, I would just like to say that it's a very, very, very interesting profession that you are joining. आपका एक भी दिन बोरिंग नहीं होने वाला, ट्रस्ट मी, इवन इफ यू वांट इट. और आप लोग मोनोटनी से बोर हो जाते हैं, आप लोग नोमैडिक ज़िंदगी जी के बोर हो जाएंगे. आई कैन प्रॉमिस यू दैट. यू विल हैव टू मच इन योर डे, यू विल हैव टू मच टू नो, और जितना जान लोगे उतना भी कम होगा. एवरी डे इज़ गोइंग टू बी अ न्यू एक्सपीरियंस. राइट नाउ फ्रॉम हियर आई विल गो टू माई स्टूडियो and I don't know what news I am presenting today. So quickly I am just going to read through कि आज की खबर क्या है, and most of it will be me not knowing, but my background will help me. क्योंकि मैंने कल एक खबर पढ़ी थी और परसों एक खबर पढ़ी थी, and I read my not newspaper anymore after corona but my websites or whatever. I'll know कि okay broadly ये है, and then comes the art of pretending कि मुझे सब आता है. Your confidence in yourself and your knowing, at the same time not faffing. आप गलत खबर नहीं बता सकते हो. You are going to be very, very responsible and you don't want a court case on yourself. Basically, you all, उसमें कोई चैनल काम नहीं आएगा, आपको अपना कोर्ट केस खुद लड़ना पड़ेगा. Channel will not save you, by the way. So you just have to be very confident. You have to know your stuff well. Even if you don't know it, it's fine. You have to pretend well. You have to know the art of presenting it well. There are going to be many, many, many challenges in front of you when you are presenting news. At the same time, you have to smile. Again, even आप अपनी मम्मी से डांट खा के आए हो, doesn't matter. You are hungry, doesn't matter. You have to smile on air. You have to wear makeup. You have to look good. You have to wear a nice crisp blazer. Even if you are reporting outside, आपको घंटों तक खाना नहीं मिल रहा, पर आपको कैमरे के सामने तो ऐसे ही रहना होगा जैसे कि आप you are the most knowledgeable and active person on the planet right now. Okay, so yeah, several challenges, and I don't think एक घंटे में I can sum up this wide field. I really hope I get a chance to speak to you again maybe sometime in some couple of months, but it's a challenge, but at the same time it's extremely interesting. What you know, no one will know. And I'm not bragging, but when I stand in a group of people and suppose an engineer or a doctor or a policeman or anyone from another profession, an MBA, they stand, what's the big difference? I can talk to anyone. I'm married to a defense officer and I cover defense incidentally. But when I'm standing in a group of officers, the Indian Army officers or Air Force or Navy officers, most times what I hear, ma'am, आपको तो हमसे भी ज़्यादा पता है इसके बारे में, and that's my proud moment. I've covered education. So when people speak to me about institutes and nursery admissions and UGC and who's who, I know it. When I'm standing in a group of people related to the entertainment world, I've covered lifestyle and entertainment also. I've interviewed actors and singers and who all, God knows who all. I know them. I know the fashion designers. I know, oh, this is in trend right now. That's the basic difference that you must always bring out when you're a news presenter. You are also your personality presenter. The basic difference between you and others from other profession, with all due respect to all other professions of course, is that you will be jack of all trades and you don't have to be master of one. Your strengths are that you are jack of all trades, and that will always help you in news presentation also, because when you don't know something, you will know the art of connecting it to something else. वर्ल्ड कप हो रहा है, मुझे पता नहीं है कि क्या हो रहा है. आई डोंट नो क्रिकेट, आई डोंट नो कौन जीत रहा है, आई डोंट नो व्हाट पाकिस्तान, व्हाट इंडिया, व्हाटएवर. बट अगर कहीं मैंने किसी से बात की थी या कहीं किसी से मैंने सुना था या कहीं पढ़ा था कि XYZ टाइम पे भी ऐसे ही बॉलिंग हुई थी और ऐसे ही लास्ट में छक्का हुआ था. आई कैन रिलेट टू इट एंड पुट इट इन माई न्यूज़ इवन इफ माई TP goes off. If I am talking about an actor and I don't know anything about that actor or actress, but I know some movie of theirs or some old incident which I had read about, I can always relate to it. When my TP goes off or when my EP is not working, when the director is not giving me any instructions. So again, read, have confidence. We all make mistakes. I still make mistakes after 16 years. But just be proud of who you are. आप लोग mini celebrities बनने वाले हो. Trust me, people will take your autographs and you have to be worth it. And you know why people will take your autograph? उनको तो ये वो तो इसलिए लेंगे क्योंकि आप टीवी पे आते हो. They will think it's a big deal. But you will know that when somebody is taking your autograph, how worth it is. You know why they are taking your autograph? Because they are believing what you told them on air. जब मैं डिफेंस की खबर पढ़ती हूँ, nobody cross checks कि ओ पलक शर्मा ने तो न्यूज़ में ये बताया, चलो गूगल भी कर लेते हैं. Unless they want to know more, they believe me. So it's going to be a very, very important thing that you are entering. You are going to be I don't know, have any of you seen that movie of Govinda where all right, yeah. Let's just watch this.
China has been trying to provoke India and Indian Army at the border. The border skirmishes continue. Last night there was firing at the border. Much confusion prevailed. However, the Indian Army has stuck to its stand, released a statement and said that there was no transgression from the Indian side, there was no firing from the Indian side, and China continues with its ways to intimidate India, which will not work. To talk about all that happened and more, we are joined by General D.S. Huda to talk about it. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. First of all, sir, you've been that person who's actually been around the area, seen standoffs earlier as well. First of all, what is your understanding and analysis of the situation? I'm not going to ask you anything from my end because you're really the right person to tell all about it.
Okay, by the way, he is a very, very senior officer, and right now this is slightly old news. जब वो China Galwan का skirmish चल रहा था, this is around that time. Two things happened here, three things rather. ये जो खबर मैं पढ़ रही हूँ, suddenly I was told that General Huda हमें मिल गए हैं. When it's a big deal to get a senior person to be on your channel when you're anchoring, okay? And all that thing that you heard me saying in the beginning, वो मैं अपने मन से बोल रही हूँ. It was not on the TP. So again, chalo, defense is my subject, but that's how you actually go about it. You just have to build sentences and say something relating to something. And did I sound like I don't know? I didn't know. So that's where the the art of acting comes in a little, because I didn't know. उस time क्या हुआ है I didn't know. I knew the background. I knew China और India के बीच में कुछ हो रहा है. I knew there's a skirmish. I knew Galwan हो गया. I knew हम लोग यहाँ से बहुत कुछ कर रहे हैं और वो लोग वहाँ से बहुत कुछ कर रहे हैं. That's all I knew. Okay. The other thing is the fumble, if you noticed. Again, someone was saying something in my ear perhaps that time, and मैं अपनी आवाज़ भी सुन रही हूँ, मैं उसकी आवाज़ भी सुन रही हूँ, and I fumbled but handled. I don't think unless I would make you notice, you would notice too much. Third, did you hear what I told General Huda? I told him कि मैं अपनी तरफ से आपसे कुछ नहीं बोलूँगी. You are the best person. He was the GOC, General Officer Commanding Northern Command. अलग अलग कमांड्स होते हैं आर्मी में, एंड नॉर्दर्न कमांड जहाँ ये सब हो रहा है, दैट इंटायर एरिया, ही वॉज द हेड और चीफ ऑफ दैट एरिया. डिड यू हियर माई क्वेश्चन? आई सेड आप बताइए. आई कवर डिफेंस, आई एम द एडिटर डिफेंस, आई हैव अ डिफेंस बैकग्राउंड. व्हेन यू डोंट नो, दिस इज व्हाट यू डू. लाइक आई सेड, एवरीवन कैन नॉट नो एवरीथिंग. इट्स ओके, देयर इज नो सच थिंग एज लुकिंग फूलिश. आई डिडंट, मैं फूलिश कब लगती? जब मैं एक कोई सा भी बकवास क्वेश्चन अपने दिमाग में बना लेती स्मार्ट बनने के लिए और उनसे पूछ लेती. ना सिर्फ मैं ऑडियंस के दिमाग में फूलिश दिखती, बल्कि मैं उनके दिमाग में भी फूलिश दिखती कि क्या पूछ रही है मुझसे. ऑलवेज बेस्ट टू लीव इट टू दी अदर पर्सन. दैट ओके, यू टेल, यू नो मोर, यू आर द एक्सपर्ट ऑन द सब्जेक्ट, आई डोंट नो दैट सब्जेक्ट, आई एम जस्ट एन एंकर, यू टेल अस. Again, what I did here was, I researched. I mentioned Global Times here. Global Times is a Chinese newspaper. It's a mouthpiece. that gives news, a lot of news on the skirmishes, India-China relations and border issues and all of that. वो जो मैं research करी थी बीच में वो ये था. It got me, while listening to what he's saying, it got me to bringing him another question. If you notice, in that entire question, my question is not what is happening now, my question is background. Did you notice that? कि ऐसा हुआ था, बहुत राउंड ऑफ टॉक्स हो चुके हैं, सो आई हैव माई ब्रॉड इन्फॉर्मेशन इंटैक्ट. मुझे पता है, मैं ब्रॉडली फॉलो कर रही हूँ ये सब्जेक्ट. सो माई क्वेश्चन वॉज दैट, बहुत सारे राउंड ऑफ टॉक्स हो चुके हैं. राजनाथ सिंह अभी 2-3 दिन पहले मिले थे अपने काउंटर पार्ट से, लेकिन कुछ हो नहीं रहा है क्योंकि मुझे ये पता है कि अभी कोई खबर नहीं है. दैट मेक्स माई नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, राइट? So again, I think you can watch all of this later also, whatever, but largely this is exactly the point I was trying to make here, that news presentation is always about presence of mind. And the more you know how to handle things, the more you know how to get the background information on fore, the easier it is going to be for you to present your news in a more confident way. And again, please read your newspapers, websites, get your knowledge in place, ask questions, ask any number of questions, even in class, look foolish, doesn't matter, you will learn. And I learned that very late, so I'm actually guiding you all here. It doesn't matter even if people laugh at you, even if you can not pronounce some things fine, it's okay yaar, we don't all know great English or great Hindi, we all pronounce things wrong, fine, just do it, someone will correct you. You have Google, just search it. You don't know some news, quickly know it. But when it comes to presenting it, at the end of the day, the end result matters, and that was the end result that you just saw here. So that's all I actually have to say today, because like I said, it's endless. I can go on talking about my experiences and how things go wrong, and Vishal, it will be my pleasure if any of these guys want to visit the news studio also sometime, and we can give you a real first-hand experience of one of the news channels. And rest, if anyone has some quick questions, I'll be happy to answer. Baki, I will definitely try and address you.
Good morning, ma'am. Myself Shipra Singh. So my question is that as we know that journalists often work in high pressure situation, like covering breaking news. So how difficult for you to working in high pressure situation?
I think you will just get used to it, because that's a job you are entering. Any job you enter, if you decided to become a doctor, you would be working in a high pressure situation. The pressure is different. If you were an engineer, you would be working in another high pressure. If you were an MBA or a marketing and sales executive, your pressure would be to sell things and get some, at the end of the month, you have to show some data. There's pressure every day, everywhere. The good thing about media is that the pressure you face here is very exciting. It's real time. It's actually happening. It's real life. जो आप cover कर रहे हो, जो आप breaking news दे रहे हो, वो actually हो रहा है. It's not fiction. It's not something that does not directly affect anyone. If the pressure an MBA or an engineer or another person from another profession faces may not directly, immediately affect everyone. Except if you're a doctor, yes, I'm sure it directly affects everyone. But again, not a large number. If you go to a doctor, only you are affected, your family is affected. What I do on air is, reaching everyone. That news may affect a lot of people, from rickshawalas to a high-end politician to an actor to a general saab, anyone. So I think you will just get used to dealing with it. You have to keep telling yourself that it's a part of your life. It's a part of what you've chosen. The more you accept and embrace it, it's going to be good. Obviously, there are going to be days where you will be frustrated, you will cry because you will miss out on things, you will get scolded, you will not do well. That's okay. With experience, everything will.
Hello ma'am, my name is Ananya Kaushik. You mentioned earlier कि media की image कैसी है, and you said कि we are already brave enough that we're sitting here studying. My question is, how much do you agree with it? Do you think media is an ugly business?
Ugly business? No, I wouldn't be in it. Come on, how can I say that? See, all businesses are ugly depending on what role you are playing in it. It's not the business that is ugly. Your bosses can be ugly, you can be ugly, your the way your setup is working can be ugly. You know, and that's really a choice that you make. You know, even when you're a doctor, there are some doctors who are only eating money, right? And there are some doctors जो free में इलाज कर रहे हैं, despite not having enough. So really, it's not, you know, when one thing I always say to everyone in my defense, I mean, I obviously know what's wrong with media also. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं मीडिया में हूँ तो मैं जानती नहीं हूँ कि क्या हो रहा है. I know what's happening. I know we are business houses. I know there are political inclinations now which did not happen earlier. There is less balance, but at least I can be balanced. So I come from a Congress background, but I've always covered BJP. तो मैं कौन सी पार्टी की हूँ? And I'm married to an army officer. Which party do I belong to? So, you know, you have to obviously keep your balance, and again, like I said, it's only you who can be ugly. If you decide not to be, and if you just decide, and you know, it's not filmy like I'll stand up to my boss and I'll say मैं तो ये नहीं करूँगी and all. No, it's just about being practical and striking a balance. When somebody tells me, I say remote है ना आपके पास, they show what you see, and it's a fact. Why Arnab Goswami is very popular despite his screaming is that people are seeing him, right? Republic right now is one of the most popular channels. You don't like him screaming, don't watch him yaar. Don't go to his channel. उसके सामने 10 panelists बैठे होते हैं. That man is great. Despite his screaming and insulting, people are with him, right? That's it. So, you know, we can call it ugly कि कैसे है यार, he's screaming away and you know नाम खराब कर रहे हैं journalist का. और we can say, wow man, इसके चिल्लाने के बाद भी इसके पास 50 लोग आ रहे हैं. It's just how you look at it. And you know, you have to respect what you are doing, others will respect you, definitely.
Hello ma'am, myself Gauri. And ma'am, I just want to ask that which has been more valuable in your career, your education or your experience?
Hands down my experience. I'm not saying education is not important, because what you study in an institute or you know in theory stays with you. You can't just be thrown into a setup and not know what it is all about. So when you you know, for anything obviously your education is very important because your basics have to be clear. If ये 5 Ws and 1H अगर आपने पढ़ा ही नहीं होता तो अगर आपको फील्ड में भेज देते तो आप उसको यूज़ में कैसे लाते हैं? So obviously your education and what you are studying may not be practically applicable in your everyday life, but it definitely sets a base for what you are going to do in future. अगर मुझे पता ही नहीं है स्लाइड को क्या कहते हैं, उस कैमरा को क्या कहते हैं, या ये स्टूडियो है या यहाँ क्या होता है, you know, I have to know the words, I have to know what the job of this thing is. Only then will I be able to put it to best use. So definitely education is very important, but what shapes you and what brings out your personality and your work is certainly the experience. There is no match for both of them. They are both equally important.
I want to ask as a TV anchor, अपनी physical अपीयरेंस को मेंटेन करना कितना ही इम्पॉर्टेंट और कितना ही मुश्किल होता है, क्योंकि आपको रोज़ टीवी पे आना है, आपको अच्छा दिखना है, तो क्या सारी चीज़ें उसके साथ में आती हैं जो आपको डेली अपनी लाइफ के अंदर फॉलो करनी पड़ती है अगर आप एज अ टीवी एंकर अपना करियर सोच रहे हैं तो?
See, it's a very simple thing. When you look at something, what appeals to you? जब कोई चीज़ वो सुंदर क्यों होती है कोई भी चीज़? Because वो appealing है. And what appeals to the eye is something that is neat, something that is well to look at. It's nice to look at. So I am not saying that you have to be good looking, you have to be thin, you have to be tall, you have to be fair. No. Actually, makeup takes care of a lot of things, thanks to whoever invented it. But इसका कोई मुकाबला नहीं. You can look beautiful, you can look like the most handsome man on air. But जब आपने मुंह खोला तो आपने कुछ ऐसा बोला which is sounding crap, equally bad. Or you can have like a lot of knowledge but you can look really shabby and no one wants to see you. किसी ने आपको सुना ही नहीं क्योंकि आप इतने गंदे दिख रहे थे कि किसी ने आप में इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं दिखाया, तो आपकी जो नॉलेज है वो लोगों तक पहुँची नहीं. So again, balance. Obviously you have to look presentable, and I don't deny that you're not in the business of acting, you're not an actor, but at the same time you are on TV. You have to look presentable. There is no doubt, and you don't have to look presentable for someone else. You have to look presentable and crisp for yourself. It's a part of being professional. When you work in corporates, आप पहनते हो ना blazer, trousers, nice polished shoes. आप स्कूल में जाते हो तो यूनिफॉर्म पहनते थे, बाल वाल बनाते थे ना. It's just being presentable. Everything else is You can wear more makeup, less makeup, have a certain hairstyle, whatever. But it's all a part of being professional. It's nice to maintain your weight for being healthy. You don't want to die on air with a heart attack. And it's nice to look good. You know, when you wear your shirt and your buttons are opening, it doesn't look nice. That's why it's nice to maintain, have good skin, have good hair, nice haircut, wear a little makeup, and your confidence will exude in what knowledge you have. So it definitely has to be a balance. I'm not saying it's not important to look good, but looking good is not the only thing. You just have to look presentable. You have to look neat. You can't have your hair all over the place, shirt sal mein hai. You have to iron your clothes. You have to just look nice, be nice, so that people listen to you. They are attracted to what you are saying. क्योंकि सबसे पहले लोग देखते हैं. Let's be very practical about it. You know, when you switch on a TV channel, अगर कोई बहुत handsome लड़का या बहुत beautiful लड़की सामने आ रही है, you stop for a second. You listen to them later, you just stop for a second कि ये क्या है, ये कौन है. So, you know, when you're well placed, when you look fine, you look good on air, and by that I don't mean beauty or glamour, I mean presentable. Obviously, people will stop to listen to you, and that will just build your confidence and your audience.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Harshita Digwasia this side. I just had one question. Actually, it was related to the video. You made a reference to a mouthpiece, and that immediately made you look smarter. So I wanted to know, what did you search in that search bar? Like, what did you search? How do I search, like, when somebody is already speaking?
Yeah, again, that you'll get out of experience and practice, because you don't want to be looking down when someone is speaking. It's very rude also, and on air dikhta hai kharab.
For 3 seconds and you got information.
Yes, so again, there are a couple of things that are always open in front of you. For me, it's WhatsApp web, it's Twitter, it's Google News. You know, 3-4 things I always have open in front of me. Now, immediately when you're anchoring, and you obviously get to know your subject. So right now, suddenly the breaking was that China ने एक और वो कर दिया है, and while we are at it, हमें एक guest मिल गया है. तो मैं guest से पूछूँ क्या, and he's a very senior man, you know, you can't ask foolish questions. At least basics have to be right. So I just googled from what he was saying when he made a reference to what is happening and what is the situation on the northern borders. I quickly googled about these tense situation at LAC with China and whatever current is happening, and the first thing that I saw was Chinese articles. And global news जो है, that is something that I've seen before also, and I quickly related. That's why I said presence of mind is very important. आपको वहाँ पे article बैठ के पढ़ने का तो time मिलेगा नहीं. At best you will go through the headline, and then you have to connect. So when I saw that global news, I immediately connected that, all right, I read an article और ये अभी हुआ है skirmish और इन्होंने लिख भी दिया. So that's how I asked the question to him that, you know, they have been reporting a lot on India, China, whatever. हमने इतनी बातचीत भी उनसे करी है, but nothing has come out of it. You tell us.
So if I'm getting it correct, you don't exactly follow the narrative that you get in the first.
Absolutely not.
To understand what they're trying to do, with that intention, you propose a question that you had in your mind.
Absolutely. And you know, your questions really, you know, the art of asking question is, you're not asking a question for yourself. You may be very intelligent. I know a lot about defense. But if I start throwing that language on you, will you understand? No. So when I am asking a question, I am asking keeping in mind कि मेरा channel कौन देख रहा है, especially if you're in a Hindi channel. English channel की audience limited होती है. English channel की audience थोड़ी सी पढ़ी लिखी होती है, I'd say. They're English speaking people, simply. Let's be practical. हिंदी channel को रिक्शे वाला भी देख रहा है. हिंदी चैनल को एक बिहार के पॉलिटिशियन भी देख रहे हैं, यूपी के भी देख रहे हैं, कश्मीर के भी देख रहे हैं, साउथ इंडिया के भी देख रहे हैं, जिनको अच्छी सी शायद हिंदी ना आती हो. You know, so all languages are watching you, all start-off people are watching you, maybe an industrialist is watching you. So you have to keep your questions in mind, keeping two things as the fore. One, जो question है वो सिर्फ आप अपने लिए नहीं पूछ रहे हो, उससे बाकियों को समझ आ रहा है कि नहीं, और उसका जो जवाब होगा वो बाकियों को बेनिफिट करेगा कि नहीं. whatever they are saying, who cares about India China यार, रोड पे चलते हुए लोगों को फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता है कि LAC LOC पे क्या हो रहा है, बट ब्रॉडली क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, oh someone's attacking our country, oh soldiers died. That is broadly what matters to most people, okay. So you have to ask your questions keeping that in mind, and the fact that आपको कोई गेस्ट मिला है, उसने अपना टाइम दिया है आपको और वो बहुत बड़ा आदमी है. What have you extracted out of him? अगर उनसे आपने कोई वाइटल इन्फॉर्मेशन ली नहीं जो आपको ऑलरेडी पता है या जो ऑलरेडी चल रहा है, अगर सिर्फ वही चीज़ रिपीट हो गई है, सो नो पॉइंट. So you just generally, the art of framing questions is an altogether, you know, different subject which you will know eventually. But yeah, ये 5 Ws और 1 H जो आपको सिखाते हैं, ये भी उसका part है. That is it answering some important question for everyone or not. And never use difficult language, difficult English words, difficult Hindi words, parlance. जो technical parlance होती है, आप किसी डॉक्टर से बात कर रहे हैं तो don't start naming medicines or treatments. Everyone doesn't know, so that's something you learn. Thank you so much. It was an extreme pleasure talking to all of you and your questions. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us with your knowledge and experience. Now I invite Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, Head DME Media School, to give the concluding remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sajal. Thank you, Palak, for enlightening our students. मेरे ख्याल से क्वेश्चंस कम थे आज, क्वेश्चंस और होने चाहिए, जैसा मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ. बट जो पलक ने आप लोगों को बोला, अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट. नॉलेज आपका होना चाहिए, ऑल द टाइम आपको अपडेट होना चाहिए. 5 इम्पॉर्टेंट न्यूज़ क्या हैं, अगर आपसे मैं क्वेश्चन करूं तो किसी को नहीं पता होगा. मैम आप जल्दी निकले थे इसलिए न्यूज़पेपर नहीं पढ़ पाए, आज तो 9:30 कॉलेज आना था इसलिए न्यूज़ नहीं पढ़ पाए. बट एवरी डे आपको 9:30 कॉलेज आना है. 9:30 क्लासेस स्टार्ट होंगी, मीन्स 9:20 आपको अपने क्लासरूम में होना है. सो फिर तो न्यूज़पेपर नहीं पढ़ पाएंगे. तो व्हाट इज़ नेक्स्ट, क्या है ऑप्शन, व्हाट इज़ नेक्स्ट? आपके पास आपके फ़ोन में न्यूज़पेपर हो, थोड़ा अर्ली आते हो, आपके हाथ में न्यूज़पेपर हो, बिकॉज यू हैव डिज़ाइनिंग ग्राफिक. 5 Ws and 1 H. व्हाट इज़ 5 Ws and 1 H? व्हाट इज़ इन्वर्टेड पिरामिड? कुछ टर्म्स हैं जो आपको क्लासरूम में बताई जाएगी. सो व्हाट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर यू? न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग, न्यूज़ वॉचिंग. न्यूज़ वॉचिंग में भी सेलेक्टेड न्यूज़ चैनल. आई ऑलवेज आस्क कि कौन सा न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ते हो, कौन सा न्यूज़ चैनल देखते हो. इम्पॉर्टेंट ये है, मैम ने क्या बोला कि व्हाट इज़ योर लाइकिंग, क्या आपको पसंद है. आपके हाथ में रिमोट है, अगर आपको पसंद तो आप देखिए, अदरवाइज चेंज कर दीजिए. आपको क्या करना है, आपको एवरीडे 2-3 चैनल्स देखो जिसमें आपको इंटरेस्ट आता है. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट डे फिर 3 चैनल्स देखो, क्योंकि अभी आई नो कि सारे लोग सारे चैनल्स नहीं देख रहे हैं. आपके जो पेरेंट्स देखते हैं सिर्फ आप उतना देख रहे हो. बट नाउ यू आर इन दिस फील्ड, यू आर जर्नलिस्ट, बिकमिंग जर्नलिस्ट, फ्यूचर जर्नलिस्ट. तो आपको क्या करना है, आपको बायसनेस नहीं है. अगर आप में बायसनेस है, जैसे अभी पलक ने बोला कि कांग्रेस फैमिली से थे लेकिन हमें बीजेपी कवर करना है, न्यूज़पेपर में भी आपको ये दिखाई देता है, बायसनेस दिखाई देती. अगर लेकिन वो ऐसा कभी नहीं कर सकते कि कोई भी न्यूज़ मिस करें. कांग्रेस ने, राहुल गांधी ने कुछ बोला है, वो भले ही वो सिंगल कॉलम होगा, डबल कॉलम नहीं होगा. अगर अमित शाह ने कुछ बोला है, मे बी इन 6 कॉलम्स, बट न्यूज़ मिस नहीं होगी. तो व्हाट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट? न्यूज़ कवरेज. वाई दिस इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट? क्योंकि न्यूज़ वैल्यू है. तो आपने जो भी देखा तो उसकी न्यूज़ वैल्यू है. तो दिस इज़ वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट. तो हमें ये समझना है कि हमारे लिए क्या इम्पोर्टेंट है ना. जितने भी गेस्ट आ रहे हैं, जो भी गेस्ट आ रहे हैं, आपको कुछ टिप्स दे के जा रहे हैं. आप उसमें से कितना लर्न कर रहे हो, ये आपको 3 इयर्स में बहुत कुछ लर्न करना है. क्योंकि अभी हमें स्टार्टिंग में, पलक ने भी स्टार्टिंग में बोला आपको कि स्टार्टिंग में जब हमें पूछा जाता था कि न्यूज़पेपर की 5 हेडलाइंस बता दो, न्यूज़पेपर में 5 इम्पॉर्टेंट न्यूज़ बता दो, तो हमें बहुत इंटरेस्ट नहीं आता था. लेकिन अभी सिनेरियो डिफरेंट है. अगर आप अपडेट नहीं हैं तो आप क्लास में सबसे पीछे हैं. लेकिन मैं तो ये चाहूँगी सारे आगे हों, फर्स्ट रो में हों. क्लास, ये वर्ड सुना होगा, बैक बेंचर, बट नो वन इज़ बैक बेंचर. सारे फ्रंट लाइन में हैं. क्यों फ्रंट लाइन में हैं? क्योंकि अपडेट हैं. आप लास्ट पर्सन से मैं क्वेश्चन पूछ रही हूँ तो वो भी अपडेट है, मेरे लिए वो इम्पॉर्टेंट है। फर्स्ट बेंच में बैठने वाला अगर आंसर नहीं दे रहा है तो वो इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं है। डजेंट मीन कि हम लास्ट सीट पे बैठे हैं या फर्स्ट सीट पे बैठे हैं। तो आपने अपने को बेस्ट प्रूव करना है तो आपने क्या करना है, न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग करनी है, न्यूज़ चैनल्स देखने हैं, और जो आपको पसंद आता है फिर उसको एनालाइज कीजिए क्या इम्पॉर्टेंट आपको लग रहा है। अगर आपको लगता है क्लास में आके बात करनी है, किसी टीचर कंसर्न से बात करनी है, मुझसे बात करनी है, यू कैन कम एनी टाइम एंड डिस्कस विद मी, फाइन। बट थोड़ा सा फोकस्ड होना पड़ेगा। अभी सेशंस कैसे लग रहे हैं आई डोंट नो, कैसे लग रहे हैं सेशन? आज का सेशन कैसा था? आज लेकिन क्वेश्चन कम थे तुम लोगों के, जो मुझे लग रहा था कि क्वेश्चंस तुम लोग के पास ज़्यादा हैं, क्योंकि जो पलक मैम ने बताया वो डिफरेंट था। लास्ट टाइम जो तुम लोगों ने सुना था, लास्ट के 2 सेशन में जो तुमने आउटसाइडर से सुना था, लाइक जर्नलिस्ट से सुना था, उससे डिफरेंट था, बट क्वेश्चंस कम थे। क्यों क्वेरीज एंड क्वेश्चंस क्यों नहीं होते? कुछ क्वेश्चंस आपके दिमाग में हमेशा होने चाहिए। अगर आपको ये पता है कि हमारे पास कौन आ रहा है, जर्नलिस्ट, एंकर अगर है तो एंकर के टिप्स और सारे होते हैं, तो उसके टिप्स पूछने चाहिए थे। ठीक है, चलो, ओके, ऑल द बेस्ट एंड थैंक यू पलक अगेन।
Thank you, ma'am. I now invite Mr. Vishal Sahai, Assistant Professor, DME Media School, to give formal vote of thanks.
It's very difficult to say thanks to Palak because I know Palak from last 13-14 years. तब मैं इसको मैम बोलता था, तो बहुत डांटती थी, मैम नहीं बोल रहे। So first of all, on the behalf of DME Media School, thank you very much for your time because I know कि आपका एंकरिंग भी है, उसके बाद भी आपने समय दिया। 2-3 बातें ऑलरेडी मैम कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क्स में बोल चुकी हैं, बट मेरी उत्सुकता थी मैं आपके साथ ज़रूर बात करूं। मैं पहले दिन से बोलता हूं कि गेस्ट हम क्यों बुलाते हैं, कोई बताएगा? लिंक, पहली चीज़ लिंक इसलिए शायद इसने मेरी पहली बात पहले दिन का सेशन याद रखा। अब पलक यहाँ पर आई, पलक इंग्लिश न्यूज़ चैनल में है, बहुत सारे लोग इंग्लिश न्यूज़ चैनल जाना चाहते हैं। अगर नॉर्मल आप इंग्लिश चैनल के बाहर जाएंगे, गार्ड भी आपको ढंग से बात नहीं करेगा, और पलक का नंबर किसी तरीके से आपके पास है या पलक को आप फॉलो करते हैं, हैप्पी धनतेरस, हैप्पी दिवाली, गुड मॉर्निंग नहीं विश करते हैं, तो पलक आपको जानती है। फ़ायदा ये होगा कि जब आप 3 साल के बाद मेरा सर दर्द कम खाएंगे, बिकॉज आई एम द हेड ऑफ द ट्रेनिंग एंड प्लेसमेंट सेल, तो आप पलक को मैसेज करेंगे कि मैम मेरा ख़त्म हो गया, प्लीज़ आप जो करती हैं, इसलिए बोला मैंने कि आप थोड़ा सा मदद कर दीजिए, तो वो आपका CV जो है आपसे मंगा लेगी और एक HR को दे देगी। तो HR में भेलपुड़ी बनने से अच्छा है वो CV आपके पास HR के पास चला जाएगा। तो जो भी यहाँ गेस्ट आता है, सबसे पहली चीज़ होती है कि वो याद कैसे रखे आपको। जितने लोग ने क्वेश्चंस पूछा है पलक को, वो याद हैं। और जो यहाँ पे बिल्कुल कौन सी मूर्ति थी मुगल आजम में जो बनाई गई थी, बुत, अब बुत बन के बैठेंगे तो बुत को तो कोई याद रखेगा नहीं, उस पर तो कबूतर ही बैठते हैं। तो आपको क्वेश्चंस पूछना है, जो मैम ने भी कहा, तब जो भी गेस्ट आता है उसको याद रहता है कि साहब इसने क्वेश्चन पूछा था, बहुत रिलेवेंट क्वेश्चन पूछा था। तो आप कह सकते हैं कि मैं, तो कई बार क्या होता है कि पलक जो है भारतीय विद्यान में रेगुलर आती थी, वहाँ तो बम्बार्डिंग होती थी क्वेश्चंस, क्योंकि प्रोडक्शन भी होता था। ये तो हार्डली जर्नलिस्ट बैठे हैं, वहाँ तो प्रोडक्शन के लोग भी बैठे थे, वहाँ पे कैमरामैन भी बैठता था, फोटोग्राफर भी बैठता था, और बड़े सिली से क्वेश्चन पूछते थे। पलक ने पहली बात में बोला था, क्वेश्चन पूछो, चाहे सिली पूछो, लोग हंसें, कोई बात नहीं, अगर नहीं पता तो नहीं पता। जैसे मैम ने पूछा कि अभी मैं 5 चीज़ें पूछ लूँ, बहुत लोग को नहीं पता। जैसे उस दिन मैं बहुत सरप्राइज था, बहुत सारे लोगों को ये नहीं पता था हु इज़ द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया, नहीं पता था। इवन चीफ जस्टिस नहीं पता होंगे अभी जो नए चेंज हुए हैं। ये सारे फिंगर टिप्स पे होते हैं हमारे, क्योंकि बड़ा ज़रूरी है इन चीज़ों पे। तो ओवरऑल सेशंस क्योंकि डिफेंस से रिलेटेड था और पलक का इंटरेस्ट डिफेंस में था तो डिफेंस बीट में गई, बट ये घुट घुट का पानी इन्होंने पिया हुआ है। एजुकेशन, पॉलिटिकल, इनके फादर बहुत बड़े जर्नलिस्ट रहे हैं और कांग्रेस के सपोर्टर हैं। सोशल मीडिया में मैं भी फॉलो करता हूँ उनको उनकी बातों में कमेंट कर देता हूँ कभी कभी, बट विद रिस्पेक्ट है। और पलक से मेरा सोशल मीडिया पे भी थोड़ा बहस चलती है थोड़ा कभी कभी, तो ये होना चाहिए आप लोगों के बीच में। और अगेन पूरे डीएमई फैमिली की तरफ से, आप सबकी तरफ से थैंक यू पलक फॉर योर वैल्यूएबल टाइम।